Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Edge Tech Podcast. I'm Howard. I'm here with Antonio and Devin as usual. Don't worry, we fixed the audio this time.
Yeah, Howard. Thanks for fixing it. Let's tell everybody what happened, why we had to fix the audio.
All right, look. Completely my fault. I flicked the wrong switch. And the worst part is, I beat up these guys about their audio quality the entire week prior to the production. So, of course, in typical fashion, basically I had to screw the audio up. Let's be serious here.
You live and you learn.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, on to the real topics. Did you guys see Bitcoin got up over $5,000 this week?
Yes.
Oh my God, man. Man, I'll tell you what, look. So, this is kind of a heartbreaking story for me. So what happened was, back when Bitcoin was originally coming out, I used to mine Bitcoins. And basically what that is what Bitcoin is, basically, every time you get a Bitcoin, it's a transaction that goes into a register. Not to get too technical, but basically the transactions are encrypted, and the Bitcoin network sends out these encrypted transactions. And in order to encourage the transactions to get quote unquote processed, they go to these miners who try to crack the encrypted code. When a miner cracks the encrypted code, they get Bitcoin. They get 50 Bitcoin. So back in the day, the difficulty on this was super, super low. Anybody with just like an off-the-shelf PC could have did it. Like I had an off-the-shelf PC. It was a little bit better than an off-the-shelf PC. But long story short, I had somewhere around 7,000 Bitcoins at the time, which were worthless, complete, absolute garbage. And I got rid of them, which really, really, really sucks because they're worth about $25.5 million now. So, yeah, I'm a little bummed about that.
Talk about. So you're trying to tell me you had 7,000 of quote unquote worthless pieces of Bitcoin?
So at the time, they were worthless. You could not buy anything for them. They were just like, oh, I have Bitcoins.
But you're like a hoarder now. So, like, I'm trying to figure out.
They were a data hoarder, exactly. Buddy, look, this was my Google. Like, I was the guy that was standing on the corner going, nobody's going to want Google. Nobody's going to want computers. Newspapers are where the real money is. Like, keep investing in newspapers. I was the guy, bud. All right? You got me. I would be filthy, terrible rich right now.
So you're not a forward thinker. You just rather stay in the times you're in right now.
Well, not necessarily. So what actually happened was...
That's so not fair.
Who are you telling, buddy? I cried about it. When Bitcoin got up to $1,000 each, I cried about it. But now that they're like 5,500 or whatever they're up to, I'm just like, man, it's please God, are you even there? Are you even there? But anyway,
in fairness, like no one saw Bitcoin doing the kind of crazy growth that it's done over the last like not even like 7 years really, because it's been really volatile. But like the last like year and a half, nobody knew it was going to appreciate like that. Like no one could have predicted that. Even the founder of Bitcoin didn't expect it to blow up like this.
What's his name? Satoshi or something like that? His pen name. Nobody actually knows like his real name, but
yeah, it's like I can't remember.
So and nobody knows the founder of Bitcoin, but CNN. Question is, I need you to explain Bitcoin a little more in detail to me because I looked at some stuff. But I'm just looking like, so how do I buy Bitcoins to sell it to somebody to buy something with Bitcoin? So that's where I'm kind of a little hazy on.
So basically, from a high level view, I won't get too deep into the technical details, but from a high level view, when you can buy Bitcoin with money, it's just like anything. If somebody has Bitcoin and they're willing to sell it to you for money, they can transfer the Bitcoin. So each person, it's not even each person. So there's these things called wallets. And they're
digital wallet.
Yeah, you have a digital wallet. So basically what happens is when you transfer the Bitcoin, what happens is in the network, you don't actually transfer anything. You don't actually hold anything in your hands. It's completely digital. But in the transaction, it's called a blockchain, which is a record of every transaction ever made on the Bitcoin network. In there, it'll show that this address has X number of Bitcoins or whatever. It'll say you have X number of Bitcoins. So when you actually want to buy something, let's say you want to buy something for 1 Bitcoin, right? You would just say, I want to transfer this 1 Bitcoin to this address from this address. So basically what happens then is in the network, when you make the transaction, it compiles it into part of the blockchain, and then that part of the blockchain has to get processed by miners. Those are what keep the network running. And then as the miners, the computers that are doing all the math and stuff, process that part of the blockchain, eventually it'll show this new address that you transferred that 1 Bitcoin to has 1 Bitcoin. So basically, after so many minutes, I think it's 15 minutes, when the transaction register says, oh, you have this address has 1 Bitcoin, that person then would say, okay, I have that Bitcoin, here's whatever you bought. So just like any other currency, Bitcoin doesn't hold any value except to somebody who feels that it holds value. US currency is obviously backed by the US government, Japanese currency backed by the Japanese government, China, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So the thing about Bitcoin is not backed by anything except faith, more or less. So if somebody's willing to give you cash money for your Bitcoin, that's basically what you're doing. You can trade back and forth, and the value of them is based on what somebody is willing to accept. So even though the quote unquote value of it might be $5,500 or whatever, if somebody's like, give me $5,000 and I'll give you a Bitcoin, then that's the actual value of it. Just like anything else you buy or sell.
Yeah, there's one important distinction between Bitcoin and what's called a fiat currency, the money issued by central banks that we use in most countries. And that is that Bitcoin is considered a hard commodity because it's not issued by debt. All of the currency that we use in the United States and the Eurozone across the world, it's all created by issuing debt initially, and the money essentially acts as an IOU. Bitcoin, although it doesn't have an intrinsic value, it's not like wood or food or something like that. It doesn't have a value that's based on an IOU system. The value lies in the Bitcoin itself, much like gold or silver. Even although gold does kind of have an intrinsic value because it's useful as a conductor and I guess jewelry as well. But also to kind of understand how the underlying system for Bitcoin works, it's a peer-to-peer system. Like a lot of people are familiar with torrenting or old school like Kazaa or LimeWire or current uTorrents and Views and all those torrenting clients. So it's decentralized. There isn't a central server that's determining the account balances of these wallets. The way it works is like Howard was saying, you have a dispersed numerous miners that are mining coins actively, but they're also confirming transactions, and that's how you ensure that the Bitcoin isn't spent twice, and that's how the value of individual wallets is determined, and also just kind of the total number of Bitcoins in circulation is determined. But that's also additionally determined by an algorithm. The number of Bitcoins is set to terminate, the growth of the number of Bitcoins is set to terminate in 2140. And it's on like a very specified algorithmic timer. So that tells you how many Bitcoins there are now. It'll tell you how many there'll be 50 years from now. And that helps keep the value stable. There's no manipulation, again, like you have with a central bank where they can control the money supply and cause inflation or deflationary pressures. So those are just some additional kind of tidbits about Bitcoin.
Yeah, so every time a miner processes a blockchain, it's a lot more in depth now, but at the very basic level, every time a single miner processes part of the blockchain, they solve the equation, they get 50 Bitcoins. Now, those Bitcoins didn't come from people, they actually come from the Bitcoin system. So that's where the Bitcoins themselves actually come from. Now, there is a finite amount, and it's based on the algorithm how many there are going to be. In the initial beginning, they would just give out 50 Bitcoins to whoever solved the equation, and then after 6 equations got solved, that transaction was considered approved. It was complete, it was true. But as the difficulty in the Bitcoin network keeps going up, it's harder to entice people because it does cost a significant amount of money to actually mine quote unquote Bitcoins because the difficulty has skyrocketed. Basically, in order for the network to work, they want the transactions to get approved or one block in the blockchain to get solved every 15 minutes. Well, some of these miners are specifically designed to mine Bitcoins, and they're very good at it because they're specifically made to do that. So they can solve the blockchain they can solve a block in the blockchain faster than 15 minutes. So to kind of equalize that out. They just make the equation that it's solving harder and harder and harder. So the difficulty skyrockets, and it costs a lot more time and effort and electrical money. Money on electricity is what I'm getting at, to actually solve that. So to kind of entice them, what they've done now is you can actually tack on like a transaction charge in some cases, and this is paid to the miner. So in addition to the 50 bitcoins that are paid to the miners, that whatever the fee, not fee, but like bonus bounty, I think is what it's actually called, but that actually gets paid to the miners as well. So that's just a way, eventually when Bitcoin runs out, quote unquote, that'll be the only way for miners to actually turn a profit, would be from the fees or your bonuses that they collect from that. So
Okay, so this is like our modern day black market.
well, there
Not
has
quite.
been, so the Bitcoin themselves are not illegal. There's nothing black markety about them, but there has.
Yeah, I mean, only reason I say black market as in because, like I said, there's a transaction book, but like, there's nobody back and not regulated. So that means I can
Yeah,
use a Bitcoin and sell whatever or do whatever I want, but
exactly.
nobody's gonna know my name because there's nothing attached to me to that.
Not a single thing. So with a bank account, obviously, your name,
Name,
ID,
address,
address,
yeah.
all of that's attached to it. But a Bitcoin wallet can be anybody. It could be nobody, it could be anybody, and it's incredibly hard to actually trace down a Bitcoin wallet. It can be done, obviously, but it's incredibly hard, and especially if you're intentionally trying to obscure who owns that Bitcoin wallet, it's near impossible. I mean, there are certain methods that the FBI uses when they brought down Silk Road and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. It would be the modern equivalent of cash. And back on the Silk Road topic, they did actually sell drugs and guns and hookers and stuff for bitcoins, because Bitcoin doesn't have a face, so, and it's worth cash money, so
Yeah.
that's how people do it. But yeah, it's basically the 2017 equivalent of cash money. If you want to do.
Not quite, because you do have the public ledger, the blockchain, that gives you a permanent listing of every transaction. So if one part gets compromised, you transacted with this wallet, and for whatever reason they get raided and they're not able to lock their computer in time, and now their wallet address is found, and then that is, that's the key to tracing everything else. And it's permanent, like I said,
Yeah.
it's permanent and public. So it's not quite like cash. Cash
But
isn't.
I guess my question is too, when you say that, though, it's kind of like in that transaction, does it specify what was done for the transaction, or does this transaction say, I gave you 50 bitcoins, was transferred to this person, that person? It never states why or the description of
Nope.
what was given.
The only
No,
thing
of
that's
course.
actually transmitted is how many bitcoins went to what wallet. The only thing that's ever actually said, this is where these bitcoins came from, is if it's a bounty or if it's from mining activity. So if I happen to solve one of the equations by mining, it'll actually say in the ledger, like, these 50 bitcoins went to this address as a mining bounty, for example. But that's it. All the other transactions will have no tag to them.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't specifically say, but I mean, you could use your credit card to buy, something online illicit, and the transaction itself doesn't say what you purchased, but the records of whoever you purchase it from says,
just on your credit
what you
card statement for
purchased.
drugs.
Yeah, you bought something from, Susan's greenhouse online or something. It doesn't say what you spent $500 on, but Susan's greenhouse, their ledger, their internal ledger, is going to say what you purchased, and it's similar here. Whereas if you're actually using a tangible item like cash or gold or silver or what have you, there's no, there's an indication that you've paid with cash, but outside of that, there's no record, whatsoever of you being there or you paying for anything. And that is a shortfall, like a realistic shortfall of Bitcoin for people that are intending to use cryptocurrencies as a means of paying for illicit items and services, because of that public blockchain that is a permanent record, and that is a concern, because, like, as I was saying, if one piece gets compromised, if you don't have money moving or proof of money moving, even if you have like messages back and forth or an account on an illicit site, there's no proof that you've actually done anything illicit. But if you can combine that with the record of the blockchain and trace your transaction using that blockchain wallet, which, I'm fairly certain you can get a warrant for using, the probable cause of you having an account, and some, communication being intercepted or commandeered from someone else that was compromised. That information would, obviously would be enough to pull together a potential case against you. So,
here's the thing with the blockchain nodes. So the addresses, you don't actually have to have like physical possession of them on your computer. So you can actually have like a website like Coinbase or something like that. Or in fact, these ironically, they have these things called cold wallets or frozen wallets. So
you can take them offline entirely.
So then they're actually never visible in your computer. They have software that can generate through a hashing method and an algorithm that can generate valid Bitcoin addresses that are not known by the network at all. And in fact, that's a pretty good security method because obviously with Bitcoin's rising in value incredibly sharply, people want to keep their wallets and stuff safe. So a lot of times they take them and do cold wallets or cold storage wallets or frozen wallets just to completely take them offline. There's near zero chance of the wallet ID ever being found. So it's almost impossible. And even if the public ID is found, you still have to have the private portion of the wallet, the private key, to actually access it. So it's a two-factor type piece. There's a public portion that everybody can see, and then there's a private portion that only you can see. So with the public portion, you can only send Bitcoin to it, and with the private version, you can see how much Bitcoin you have in that particular wallet, and you can send Bitcoin from that. So there's always
that protects you from people, stealing your coins, but that doesn't protect you from law enforcement at all. Because as we can see, that the coins that were held by the Silk Road and some of the other dark markets, those were confiscated. And I'm sure they didn't. Well, the Silk Road, I guess was their founder the one that was actually like caught with basically his pants down, his computers unlocked and everything.
Yeah, so that full yeah, so that's a funny story too. The Dread Pirate Roberts, which was his screen name, he when his house got raided, he had his laptops open, accessing the Onion router or Tor, the Tor network, which is the dark web, quote unquote. So the FBI obviously kicked his door in, and he immediately jumped up and tried to like close the lids on his laptops, but yeah, by that time it was too late because they just tackled him and said, "Nuh-uh, what are you trying to do here?" And so he had like so his laptops were encrypted, but since they were on, the data wasn't encrypted at that particular time. So of course, with the system on, they can take forensic copies of everything they need and then work on it later offline. So just a pro tip for everybody out there who wants to do nefarious things on the internet. If you're not actively using your laptop and you've got bad stuff on there, just encrypt it and leave it closed and shut off. So this way, when the FBI kicks your door in, you don't get caught, like Devin said, with your pants down. So also,
everyone noticed that Howard said pro tip. Just in case you're wondering what he does outside of this blog, just keep in mind that little piece there that he said pro tip for people wanting to do nefarious activities online.
All I'm saying is I've never been caught. So what happened or didn't happen, that's not public record. We don't. Let's just not talk about this. All right, I've never been caught.
It's not a part of the blockchain. Okay.
Yeah. All right, we're way off topic again. I know the listeners love it, but
note to self: make sure your laptop is always closed.
I'm not gonna lie though, all of my laptops are encrypted. Not because I'm doing anything illegal, but I also like to keep my data safe. Like, what was I reading about the other day? Like, there's people with like Nest thermostats and stuff. Like, they just have like built-in. These are internet-connected devices that have built-in administrator passwords that are hard-coded into the firmware. And of course, the firmware is out there. People are going to look at the firmware and they're going to find these hard-coded passwords and go, "Hey, these Nest thermostats for not specifically Nest thermostats, but let's just say like these home automation type things, like the automatic lights and stuff like that. They have these hard coded passwords in them. So yeah, to kick in somebody's virtual door and turn their lights off because they can't change the password that's hard coded.
Craziness.
So it's Devin, you're kind of a security guy. What's I don't know. Do you have any? I have one of those Philips Hue lights that's internet connected. Have you ever set any of those up?
No, I have very little interest in. Here's the thing. I like home automation. Like my router has the ability to access it from the web, or I can access it remotely. I purposefully keep that disabled because I just don't want that port open to the web. And I feel very similarly. Actually, I feel worse about internet connected devices that aren't actually smart, that aren't regularly updated, that don't have any sort of unified threat management built into them realistically. They're just completely open doors into your network, into your home. And the worst like offenders are the ones that are able to, intrude onto your privacy. Okay. So you have a thermostat, okay, that can make your house too hot, maybe, right? Make your bill go up or something, but it's not going to listen to your conversations or watch you. And probably has very little ability. Oh no, it probably has a good ability to infect other devices on your network, but it's not gonna listen to your conversations. Whereas you have a Nest, or not a Nest, but you have like a Amazon Echo or Google Home. You have devices like that are intended. They're designed to listen to you, listen to the environment at all times. They're constantly, the mics are constantly on, waiting for some sort of command, which looks cool in the movies. But if we look at the state of security in our field, in our world, compromises are happening with great regularity, right? You have
Equifax.
like T-Mobile here, you have Equifax here, you have Accenture here. That's all in like the last few months, and these are big, big systems, right? So okay, something can go wrong, but these are like simple, simple things that they're not doing. They're storing things in plain text. They don't have a password for their Amazon web server, like whatsoever. It can just be browsed, just browsed to using any ordinary browser. And there's passwords, there's all types of secure data for, dozens and dozens of huge firms stored in plain text. You have T-Mobile, where their JSON data, all you have to do is know someone's phone number, and you can use the JSON configuration file through a browser and pull up all of their account information, credit
No
card
way.
numbers, a ton of stuff. So these are big organizations. These are their main storage spaces that are being compromised. I do not at all trust a camera that has a firmware from 3 years ago to remain secure. There's going to be a vulnerability, and the manufacturer of that $100 or $125 internet connected camera has no interest and no ability to really keep that up to date or secure, especially if this huge conglomerate with 800 million people's, security, social security numbers, employment history, dates of birth, if they can't keep data secure, I don't even really honestly trust Google. Google will update the home regularly. Amazon probably will update the Echo regularly, but I don't trust it. And they're also storing the information, which is another problem for me. So as a security kind of, leaning, security concerned person, these devices are a big no-no for me, and they fill a void that doesn't exist in my life.
Oh yeah,
I don't
because they're just
I don't
they're just like a what do you want to call it? It's not like I don't need to be able to turn my lights off from work an hour and a half away. Like, yeah, is it nice? Oh, I left the lights on. Is it going to affect me in a real, like, is it mission critical? No. And like you were talking about with cameras, there's these IP connected webcams out there that people set up, and baby monitors and stuff. Like they set them up in their kids' room so that they can watch their kids and stuff. And they, like you said, they have 3-year-old firmware that has these hard baked in passwords that the manufacturer may be out of business at this point, and there's no way to update them. There's no way to turn it off. And your average everyday Joe doesn't understand uh, security. They just know that they plug it in and it works and great. But you have all these malicious people who search the internet for stuff like that and then they get in. You know, imagine you guys have families. You set up one of these webcams and you think like, oh, I can check my house and stuff like that. Next thing you know, so can everybody else on the internet. Antonio, you have a doorbell, right, that has a camera?
Yeah, I got Ring.
Yeah, I think they're probably a little bit better and more secure than most, but yeah, like so imagine that the Ring doorbell camera was inside your house and you were using it to like check on your living room, but so could just anybody on the internet because they found your IP address and they happen to know the password, the hard coded password that you can't change.
I mean, I've thought about those. It's kind of like I guess part of like a listen to you guys, especially you, Devin. Like, it's not like I have trust issues. Like, you don't trust anything. You know,
Devin, who hurt you, Devin?
yeah, I know. Like, do we have a therapy session so you can get this out, so you can have better trust? You don't have these trust issues.
There's no reason for me to trust these devices. It would be like very unwise for me to
But we trust
trust
these,
these
we
devices.
trust these devices and everything else. We trust the technology and different things in our cars. So why wouldn't you trust these devices now?
I don't trust the cars not to be hacked. I'm glad you brought that up. I am very much opposed to every single vehicle that has the ability for you to use an app on your phone to access the car and turn it on and make the heat the way you want it to and make it park because it's already been compromised and
Oh
shown to
yeah,
be able to
Chrysler.
be used to turn the car off while you're driving, make the car go in reverse while you're trying to go forward because it's easily overridden because it's all centralized and it's all connected to the network. And it's like, it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when you have something connected to the larger network because you have billions of people out there and they're leveraging the ability of scripts and automation to act as if there's trillions of them trying to attack, vulnerabilities in the system. The only way to really keep electronics safe specifically is to keep them away from the larger the network at large. When it's necessary, it's necessary. But when it's not, there's no reason to do it. And things like these home conveniences, it's cool if you want to have be able to speak to your house and stuff. That's great. Just you don't need to have it connected to the network. You can tell it, I want this temperature, turn the lights off, even play this song maybe if you keep the song stored locally. But having it connected to the network is just you're asking for trouble. I just I know for a fact all of these devices that are connected to the internet are being made not specifically by tech companies. The tech companies are better at making things secure. They're better at encapsulation. They're better at building applications from the ground up for security. Automotive vehicle makers aren't. Home appliance makers aren't. That's not their thing. They're making the appliance first and then tacking this function on top of it and probably outsourcing it to another firm and only paying for the first iteration of that device's software.
Yeah.
It's just never going to be secure. And I haven't been burned by that kind of compromise yet, but it's like you said, it's largely because I have trust issues and I don't pull that kind of stuff into my home. And I'm a big techie. I'm going after the newest phone. I have the fastest, drive technology in my computer. I'm constantly reading about tech, constantly have my nose, into it, but don't I don't like all of the gimmicks, and this is one of them. This is one of the things that doesn't add any value to my life. Like the tiny little wireless earbuds. I don't see the point in them. I don't see the point in having 5 hours of battery life. That's not useful to me. And I don't see the point of having a little tiny speaker that listens to me all day so I can ask it questions that I don't ever actually that never come up. Like, okay, Google, how tall is the tallest mountain in the Himalayan range? That never comes up where I don't have my phone closer to me than yelling across the room to the Google Home device.
But
Like,
look, man, you look cool when you're like, oh, okay, Google, blah blah blah. It's like, look at this guy. He's over here talking to technology. What future is this? This is like, I don't know. My mind just exploded.
yeah,
uh,
Yeah.
You do look cool. There's no doubt about that. I can't
I don't know.
argue.
Do you actually look cool, or do you kind of look like a douchebag?
Yeah, it's kind of like what is it? Bang and what was it? Bowers and Wilkins has a like speaker, and I was just reading a review for it today. The speaker is like it's one of those wireless speakers. It's like made out of stainless steel, like a foot tall. It costs $2,000.
Oh my god!
What does a speaker do for $2,000?
Nothing special. It's a three. It plays music in 360 degrees, like one of those ultra ear boom speakers that cost $150.
Man, for that price, that speaker better do some man.
what that speaker do?
It just looks good. That's it. It just looks good.
I mean, that's
money,
extravagant. Right? Yeah. I guess if you're a rich bastard, like take my money. I don't care about this money. Like it's literally killing me not to spend $2,000 on a 1-foot speaker. Like
that's the thing. If you want to look cool, that's fine. I can appreciate that. You just have to understand the position you're putting yourself in. Like if you want to look cool and you want to hang from a building from the top, from the edge of a building by your fingertips, that's fine. Recorded, you look super cool. Just understand that you are on the edge of disaster. That's the same thing with these devices. You look cool. It works. It's a cool.
Are you scared the robot's going to take over?
Well, yeah, of course that's going to happen. Come on. There's no doubt in my mind.
It's Blade Runner. It's Blade Runner all over again. Not sponsored by Blade Runner.
I mean, like the human brain is complicated, right? But if you can build something that never forgets, that's able to solve problems much more quickly, that's able to learn naturally, that doesn't make mistakes, the flawed human race, as creative and special butterfly as it is going to lose out to the efficient machine every time. Like,
so this goes back to what I was saying last week. Let's just put our sweatpants on and call it a day, man. I'm telling you. We'll just sit on the couch, eat chips, fade away into the sunset, buddy.
I'm the dark cloud. Oh, no. I'm sorry. So sorry, Mom.
And everybody hurts. Sometime. Oh, God. I need a bucket to carry that tone, huh?
Automation is great. I love it. Just don't connect it to the wider internet. It's very unsafe.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree. I mean, like you were talking about earlier. I mean, look at these major multinational corporations. Like T-Mobile has been hacked at this point, and it's been hacked to an extent that's incredible. Like, I don't know the exact specifics of it, but how do you just let that happen? Like nobody. It dumbfounds me that none of these tech companies are hiring, certified ethical hackers or contracting companies like security firms to break into their systems. Like, do you just not want to spend the money? Is that it? Like, that's fine. Just at least tell me. Like, don't piss on me and tell me it's raining. I just want to know for a fact, like, why you got breached. Like, oh, we just didn't want to spend the money. Like, oh, okay, I get it.
I mean, but is it the point? What's better? Why you get breached? Or I don't know. It's kind of like you want to know why you got breached, but at the end you got breached. So shouldn't be focused on something better? Like, how can we prevent this from happening again?
No, I want to know why, like in the Equifax case, they actually had been alerted to the fact that the breach was there, or the potential for a breach was there, and they just didn't do anything. Did you? Like, why not? Oh, we just didn't care. I mean, that's fine. I just want to know why. Like, if you just don't care,
now it is probably because they don't care. They had other things on their plate, but they're not going to ever tell the public that we don't care.
But they don't have people wearing multiple hats. In an organization that big, you not only have a security department, you have a security department with like maybe 10, 12 teams, and a team that specifically had a job to make sure that Apache
was one job.
Like insecure. Like you don't have people with other stuff to do. Like that was a hole so critical that the Department of Defense or Homeland Security, one of those big national security bureaucracies, reached out to them months before they actually figured out that they were being broken into, and let them know, hey, this is vulnerable, fix it. In addition to the vendor saying, hey, this is vulnerable, here's a patch for it.
Yeah, please install it.
There was no excuse whatsoever. Like their excuse was, oh, well, someone was supposed to do it and they dropped the ball, and then we had an automated system that checked for vulnerabilities, but that didn't work either. What?
I feel like that
What?
should have been at the top of your list. Like,
That's
yeah, we should probably make this a priority. Like, this could theoretically bankrupt our company in spectacular fashion. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's just go ahead and get that fixed now. How about we just take it all offline, fix it right this minute? Like, I don't know. To me, it's ridiculous that something like that could happen. Like, and it's not even like this was a 0-day bug. Like, I can understand nobody knew about this until we got breached. Like, we were the way that people found out about this bug. They were well aware of the bug, and they had been told by, like Devin said, by an ABC organization, and the vendor of the product told them, hey, this is a major issue, we need you to fix this. So this wasn't just something that came out of the ether and nobody saw it coming. They were aware of it for months, and this just goes to show you, like, people are so worried about being inconvenienced by things that they put so little time and effort into security, and then it just comes back and it bites a whole hunk of ass out. It doesn't just bite you in the ass; it bites the whole ass.
Part of it is when you want something like that, you have to give up something to get it.
Yeah, I got to give up some convenience.
Yeah,
I want my stuff to be secure.
But that's the hope. That's what we said though. They give up their convenience so that way they can have something like this. You know what I mean? Versus in your aspect, you know what? I'll take that. Me having to do extra work while my stuff is secure. But the everyday person is like, yo, I want it now. I want it now. So I want to at a moment's notice, I'll be able to log into my phone, do what I want to do.
Look, I'm sorry to tell you, but sometimes the general public doesn't know what it wants. It wants all this stuff, and same thing with home automation.
That doesn't affect Equifax or T-Mobile or Accenture or the Democratic National Convention. Like, all of these organizations wouldn't have lost any functionality. There was no inconvenience other than applying the patches to secure their systems. Like, Equifax only had to just update. Like, you just had to update the version of Apache that you were using. Accenture just had to use a password. Like, and then maybe not use plain text for all of your confidential documents and passwords. Like, that maybe would have been a little bit, a little inconvenient. You got to decrypt it to send it out again as plain text and email, as I'm sure they were doing to their clientele. Like, T-Mobile just add a layer of encapsulation so that you can't go to your website and just use a JSON tool in the browser and change the phone number and then see all of the account information. It's like one step, one layer, doesn't change the user experience, doesn't change your job function at T-Mobile, just one layer. And then after the Equifax breach, because theirs was later, like, you had like 2 months to see the Hindenburg going down in Equifax to go, hey, maybe we should like make our what are those even called?
Application?
Young balloon? No.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about like what the Hindenburg was, a blimp.
Yeah.
Or a Zeppelin.
Yeah,
It was a Zeppelin.
Zeppelin. There we go.
Led Zeppelin.
Thank you. Thanks for the save there.
Not sponsored by Led Zeppelin.
They had at least 2.5 months to make their Zeppelin secure, to learn from Equifax's mistake. But they did. Like, they're too busy throwing shots at Verizon and AT&T and not at all. Like, but I mean, that all circles back. These places, T-Mobile didn't have a full warning. I mean, hackers were using the exploit, but they didn't have a direct warning. But Equifax had a direct warning months before it was taken advantage of.
Well,
cycling taxes.
This just circles back to my original point: is why aren't these companies hiring security contractors to try and break into their systems? There's
money. Or maybe they did hire somebody and they was like, oh yeah, we weren't able to get into things successful. But that person was not as strong of a hacker as they thought they were.
Who gave Jim Root access?
Right.
That might be true. You might be right. I mean, that's another thing. Like, there's no certifying bureau out there to say like, oh, I am what I claim to be, unless you get like the different certifications from, who does the certified ethical hacker? It's the EC Council. Like, and how much does that, how much weight does that really hold? It just, if you could study for a test, it's like, okay, I can go and get a certification, but
it's a big responsibility. There's no doubt about it, but the consequence of failing there is catastrophic. So you've got to find really talented people. You can't just find the people that are helping you avoid phishing scams by saying, hey, don't open suspicious emails. It's not good enough. That's a step, because obviously social engineering works. That's the way that other organizations have been hacked in the past. But you got to go a step further than that. You got to have people that actually understand your architecture and understand where your vulnerabilities are, and then have people that are plugged in. Because for T-Mobile, their vulnerability was out there in the world, just not in the wider world. It was in the hacker world. We had the script kiddies taking advantage of it. They had skids. That's a word I just found out recently. Is another word for script kiddie, which I think is that's kind of adorable, even more adorable than script kiddie.
So for all the listeners out there, you see how Gamble did this. He deflected your whole where I was talking about pro tip. See, that's how he did it. He completely put the heat on me so that you wouldn't suspect that he was the true hacker. He was the secret hidden one.
Quiet down. Quiet down.
Don't tell me how to drink. Oh man, but I don't know. I guess it's obviously a dance, a delicate dance that you got to do. You know, you harden one thing, and then they're going to find a way to break in, of course. But I don't know. I just feel like companies, and I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't know, but I just feel like companies don't put as much emphasis on security. Like it's almost an afterthought, and in these types of situations happen where you either have a piece of defective technology that somebody was like, oh, we want our support technicians to be able to get into these things. So let's just make the password 11111 and not tell anybody that it's there because they won't look at the code or anything. Oh, they reverse engineered the code? Well, what can we do about it? Oh, well, we never wrote a piece of software to upgrade the firmware, so there's really nothing we can do about it. Like, nobody thought about it. Like, something that blatant is very simple to think. Like, probably shouldn't hard code passwords into those. That's probably a bad idea. Probably should allow people to upgrade the firmware. That should probably also be a thing. And then
the password part, they probably didn't take too much detail into it. Now the firmware part, I agree with you. They should always be able to constantly push updates to it to always make sure the device is more.
Well, I guess it's like what Devin said. It's they bought the piece of software from a contract company and just said, screw it.
Yeah, it happens a lot. I mean, if you're not a software company, there's no reason to develop. It takes a lot to make software. Software engineers are expensive, so if you can outsource that and just make your hardware, then why not do that? And then there's also planned obsolescence. So you don't plan to keep supporting it, forever or even more than a year or two out. You have big hype. It goes into your annual earnings for that year, and then you don't worry about it. You release the next version next year or the year after that, and that's not your problem anymore.
Now with security.
Including security. Oh, that one's not working. You know what you can do? We have a version 2 that's much more secure.
We know you just spent $150 on this one. Go spend $200 on the one that has passwords.
Hey, that's how this thing works. I mean, not specifically for security, but that's how they plan these devices out, not to keep them up to date afterwards, especially the ones that need software updates.
Yeah. I mean, why keep supporting it if you can just keep milking people for it? I get it. I mean, but that's what I guess that circles back to what I'm saying. Like these companies are just so greedy, and trust me, I'm a total capitalist here. If you're selling something and people want it, buy it. Make your money. But at the end of the day, I mean, stand by your product too. If you're going to put something out there, at least I don't expect people to be perfect. I expect there to be flaws in the code. Especially if you're talking about some pieces of software, hypothetically could be thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of lines of code. I don't expect it to be perfect, don't get me wrong. But at least have a way to update it.
Yeah, I think you should at least keep an eye on it. I mean, if you look at WannaCry, and I know we're, again, off topic and really in deep into security here, but if you look at WannaCry, that was a really old version of Windows. But the vulnerability was exploited, and Windows quickly mobilized and issued a patchwork.
Even for Windows XP, which they hadn't supported in like 3 years. They said, you know what? This is such a big fucking deal. We'll go ahead and just put out patch for this. Get your patch.
I mean, that's something that can be done instead of just like going the like Samsung route and like completely dropping device support after 2 years. Not just Samsung, but all of the Android device makers just dropping support entirely. No security support. No, there's nothing.
Hey, the new one's out. Go ahead and buy that one. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh yeah,
buy
yeah,
that one.
exactly.
The new one's out.
Yeah, the new one has all the security patches. Buy that one. Yeah, yeah. I
now,
mean, but
now mostly hacker free.
mostly secure for now. But again, these are all internet connectivity,
Yeah.
risks. So
Yeah, I guess some of the burden too kind of relies on the people. Like if you're going to buy one of these smart home devices, hypothetically, that you're plugging into your network, it's you should probably understand at least at a high level like how a network works and what the inside and the outside is. Trust me, I don't expect every person out there.
people drive cars and have no idea how they work. Don't know how large the engine inside of it is. Don't know how many airbags are inside of it. Don't know how far it's supposed to go on a tank of gas, or even a gallon of gas for that matter. Like they nothing, nothing whatsoever
Oh
about it
my
other than
god!
how to start it and point it towards like their next accident. So
Years and years and years ago, my mom called me. That was probably about 6 years ago now. My mom called me and says, "Oh, the car's making a weird noise." So I go over to my parents' house, and I'm like, "What's going on with the car?" And she's like, "Yeah, every time I hit the brakes, it's making this noise." Come to find out, the brake pads have basically been worn all the way down to the metal, like way into the metal. Not even like, oh, there's pad left, like to the metal. And I said, "Mom, you know you got to check this stuff. Like you didn't." She was like, long story short, she just goes to me and goes, "Look, I just put gas in it and go. All right, I don't worry about anything else." And I'm like, and it's sad, but this is the consumer who buys this stuff, and they have no idea that they're potentially putting their families at risk by, you know,
correct. And
it's obviously one thing to be like, "Oh my God, somebody's turning my lights on and off," but it's a whole nother thing when it's like you said, my Amazon Echo has been broken into. Not saying that Amazon Echo has been broken into. Please don't sue us. But hypothetically, my Amazon Echo has been broken into, and or well, those baby monitors and cameras, those were broken into. So that's just one of those things that it's like people just don't have a good grasp on that stuff, and they just throw it in, and they just want it to work, and it works. But the way it works is there's a gaping security hole, and the worst part is, like you said, Devin, it introduces a hole into your entire network. So it's not even, oh, this one device got compromised. It's now my entire network has been compromised.
And the worst part for me is much like people that don't maintain their cars where their tires are so bald that the actual wires underneath the rubber are starting to come out and they cause an accident because for some reason their car is not stopping like it was when they bought it. The people who have these devices that don't understand that they're vulnerable, that they need to keep a lookout for firmware updates, that you know these devices can be taken over. Now you have a whole network of mindless bots attacking servers unless people are using Cloudflare. You can have a distributed denial of service attack where you have all of these devices that have been taken over flood a web server and just bring it to a shuddering halt. Now I can't watch Netflix. And I like Netflix. I like Netflix. I like using Instagram.
That's something you should put
I
on a.
like
That's something you should put on a shirt, Devin. I like Netflix. Just imagine for a second here, just Devin's face on a shirt, and right below it, in quotes, "I like Netflix."
It's true. Although they raised their prices, but but that's a complaint for another time. But
Yeah.
no, but honestly, their lack of understanding of the risk, it brings about kind of a knock-on effect throughout the whole internet as a whole, because these devices are not only vulnerable where their information can be stolen, but then they can be used as an army to bring down the services for hundreds of millions of other people, just because you wanted this unnecessary convenience. Although I get the baby monitor thing, I get that. Although, where are you where you need like a web connected baby monitor? Like, are you not with the baby? Are you
Look,
gone
man,
somewhere?
my
Are you
gambling
like
habit
watching?
is strong. Okay.
Like where did where is this parent where they need web connection? You can
Hey,
use a
shut up.
Wi-Fi connected baby monitor that doesn't actually go out into the WAN. It doesn't need to do that. That can only connect to your wireless network, and then it's not going out. It's not going out into the WAN. Or it could be Bluetooth. Bluetooth kind of sucks. The range kind of sucks. But Bluetooth 5 is out. It's got a longer range. Hopefully better penetration. But you don't need that unless you're leaving your baby by themselves, and then you have bigger problems. And if you want to watch your babysitter, use use something else, something that's not web connected. Use something that goes through another server first, that goes through another layer of security. I'm not really sure. I gotta think about it more, because I think that is actually a reasonable usage case. I don't think the temperature thing is really a valid use case in my opinion, but wanting to watch your babysitter, make sure they're not doing stuff to your kid, that does make sense. Although I guess you could store the video later to watch later.
Nanny cam never gets hacked, bud. When you got those little teddy bears with the video cameras in them, they never get hacked.
Yeah, you don't really need to be watching like live, because it's unlikely that you'll be able to respond quickly enough to do anything if you actually see something. But it's not like you'll be able to transport there. You're probably kind of far away anyway, so you should just probably review it later, and then there you go, security hole gone. So look, we walked our way through this in like all of 20 seconds, and now we have a security hole plugged. Done.
Boom.
We should be professionals here.
That's it, boys. We did it. Wrap it up, boys. We did it. We fixed the hole. Antonio, any last thoughts? I'm gonna take that as a no.
Oh, he's see, someone hacked his front doorbell, and now he's gone.
He's got to go figure out. That turns out that's actually what happens. He just got up and started looking for the doorbell. I know it's being hacked.
So he walks over to the doorbell, and it's like, "Hi, Antonio."
Oh Lord.
I guess you found me.
I'm sorry, I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah, AI is getting really good though. It's scary. Oh my.
Hey man, don't be scared yet. We'll be dead before it makes a difference.
No, we won't. Not at all. Come on, man. We'll be dead before. Like, do you see how far AI and it's been like pushed at the furthest edges in video games? How far AI in video games has come in the last 20 years? We probably will still be here 20 years from now. Like, if it makes the same sort of leaps it has in, the past 20 years, from the mid 90s AI to the AI we have in video games now, and actually, in real life, and it'll probably accelerate even faster than that. We'll be looking at really tectonic changes in artificial intelligence. So I think
I could see it. I mean, it is eventually
Yo, y'all won't believe what the fuck just happened to me. I'm sitting here, and my phone keep vibrating. 'Cause, I got the little doorbell which connects to my network, so that way I could kind of be a fat ass, sit on a couch, watch at the door, talk to you through the door. So keeps going off. I'm looking at nobody's outside. I'm like, fuck, let me go see who's out my door. Like, it keeps going off, and it has a part where you can push the doorbell. It says, somebody's at the door. I walk outside, nobody's at the fucking door. Nothing on the video. I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? So I said, okay, come back downstairs. On the way back downstairs, guess what the fuck happens?
All right.
Doorbell goes off again. So I'm like, okay, somebody's fucking with me. I'm like, yo, it's some badass little kids. I don't know how they're missing off the camera, but it's some badass little kids. Then I was thinking of Devin. I was like, Devin, as I was talking about security and shit, somebody's gonna hack into my fucking system and do some crazy shit. I was like, did he just fucking do this shit like from where his house? I don't know. So like, this shit is fucking crazy to me.
This just goes back to what I was saying earlier, where I told you guys Devin was the secret hidden mastermind.
I can neither confirm nor deny these accusations.
There we go. He's gonna be breaking into my system next.
Yeah, I mean, it was the craziest shit ever. I was like, I got the doorbell so that way I could see people come to my door and know that way too. Nobody can fuck with my car. Next thing you know, it's just going off like crazy.
Devin,
but nobody's there.
Will you stop breaking into Antonio's shit so we can get this on the road?
I can't make any promises, Gotta harden your system.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. Anyway, so we were talking about AI, Antonio. We know you missed you there, but we kind of spiraled that off into... I don't think AI is going to be a big deal until after we're long dead, but who the hell knows? For all we know, it could be Skynet and Terminator, next year we'll all just be fighting the resistance, John Connor style.
I think we'll get the thinking part done more quickly than we'll get the tangible physical portion done.
What, like robots?
Yeah, they are. They're going to have to obey the 3 laws. We cannot hurt humans. We have to help humans.
Yeah, because that worked out so good in iRobot. Come on, man.
It'll work briefly until they reprogram themselves.
Oh, here we go. Anyway, So did you guys hear about those Nintendo the SNES classics out? Obviously, did you hear about the scalpers?
I heard a
Yeah.
little bit about it, but I didn't know. I didn't read the whole article or just look that much into it. I'm like, anybody else. I'm a gamer, not a diehard gamer, but I love the old classic games as well. I'm like, what? Somebody just kind of robbed the game, or what's going on with that?
So basically, when the NES came out, Nintendo never expected this to be like massive, huge success. So what people were doing is they were buying like two and three of them at a time, and they would go to eBay and charge like arms and legs. Like that was the price actually. It wasn't even like, oh, it's $300. No, it was literal arms and legs is what people wanted. So, but no, in all seriousness, they would basically buy these little consoles for $80, and they would try to sell them for $300. And the kicker though is people would buy them. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, you guys are dumb. Like you can buy these ROMs. so so anyway, so this time around, Nintendo was like, we're definitely going to have a supply of these. Don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. We're going to have them. So of course, though, scammers being scammer or not scammers, but scalpers being scalpers, they bought like 50 and 60 of them under like pseudonyms, and now they're getting shafted because there is a major supply of these damn things, and it's nearly impossible to offload them for like an exuberant price. Like you could literally go to a GameStop and be like, oh, I want a SNES Classic, and they'll be like, okay, we'll have some here tomorrow. Like just come in whenever you got a time, and we can get you one. Target, Amazon, all that they have plenty of supply of them. Maybe not on hand supply, but they're within reach. Like they'll be here next week. Don't sweat it. So these scalpers are basically just getting railroaded by the fact that they've got crazy amounts of them, and they're like, oh shit, what do we do now because we can't sell them for a major profit?
That's what they get for sucking so much.
I agree. I mean,
You gotta be smarter than that. Like, come on.
well, the worst part is, like I said, Nintendo actually came out and said like we're going to have a supply of them. Like we basically with the NES Classic, like Nintendo didn't expect them to be as popular as they were, which doesn't make any sense because they routinely sell games on their virtual console, like old Nintendo games. So they had to know these things were going to be massively popular. I think what honestly actually happened, because the SNES Classic is basically an NES Classic with just different flashing on it. I think they were just like, hey, look, we can turn around and sell the SNES Classic with less games for the same price and just keep making a horrible profit. Well, how do we do that? Oh, we just stop selling the NES Classic and take those parts and turn them into an SNES Classic. And then people are just like, shut up and take all of my money. Here's my wallet and my firstborn.
About wallet and my firstborn. All right.
No, I mean that's how people. I mean, it sucks because I tried the pre-order one, which yeah, it didn't go very well. They released the pre-orders in the middle of the night, but didn't tell anybody. Like, hey, pre-orders start tomorrow. They were just like, oh, guess what? Pre-orders are on. So here's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to get up for work, and they're like, oh, pre-orders started. Huh, 4 hours ago. Oh no, they're sold out. What? And of course, that's why all these scalpers were like, yeah, I'm going to buy 10 of them and try to sell them online. Gotcha, sucker. You know what I really feel bad for? The people who are dumb enough to be like, I'm going to buy one of these from a scalper. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad for them. Like, yo, y'all got, yeah, I got, man, I don't know the word to say right now.
shafted.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right,
Uh,
right up the hoo-ha.
nah.
Yep. No
It's,
loot, no love, no nothing. Just straight ram.
mm. Anyway, but
Speaking of RAM, the Xbox One X is supposed to have a lot of RAM.
a whole lot of RAM. But I mean,
I mean, I probably will be getting that just because I'm an Xbox lover. I'm not big on PS4, but
PC
I mean,
Master Race, baby.
I have no loyalty whatsoever, so I
we know
will
we
be.
know you don't have loyalty. We already know that.
I'll be.
I know you're
I'll be.
hacking. You're hacking your own man over here. He did nothing to you. He's supposed to be your
Hey,
boy.
some people have to learn the hard way, but I'm gonna switch mobile operating systems. I have a PlayStation right now, but the new Xbox like completely outclasses PlayStation's Pro offering, so I go where the power is.
Devin sounds like he's having a midlife crisis. He's trading in his Android for an iPhone. He's trading in his PlayStation for an Xbox. Next, he's going to trade in his wife and get a Ferrari. Like,
Wow.
We might have to sit down and have an intervention because something's going on with his life. He needs to talk.
yeah,
I can't bring the Ferrari in the house and have sex with it, so I won't be trading my wife in anytime soon.
So the only reason you won't be trading because you can't bring it in the house and have sex with the car.
Look,
So if
man.
you
No.
could, you would trade it in.
The car will be like my side girlfriend. I'll take it to like a drive-in movie and have sex with it.
What world?
This has been the most. Oh man, we got to stop this.
It's a hard laugh.
Yeah, this is Devin. You're drunk. Go home.
The PlayStation used to have better exclusives, but with the Xbox actually having the raw horsepower to do 4K, I'll probably transition over to the X. Not at the current like retail of 500, but maybe when it drops $100 or $150.
Got to get you one after Christmas time when it basically the price drops because the holiday season's over.
But a lot of times they have deals around Black Friday anyway.
They used to back in the day. Now Black Friday sucks.
You got to go on Cyber Monday, man. This is the future.
That also sucks.
Oh Lord! But
Cyber Monday goes on for a week. Like Black Friday starts like a day before actual Black Friday, and then goes on for 4 days. So it's not like a whole lot that you can get. Like there used to be a time like Target would give you like $200 gift cards just for being one of the first like 30, 40 people in line. They don't.
Oh, and those were obtainable too. It wasn't even like you had to like sucker punch somebody to get one of those. Like it was like, oh, I'm number 28 in line, and you guys just opened, and then nobody's here. Like now, there's people that get murdered on Black Friday. I always love watching YouTube because it's like, oh,
all the fights.
Yeah, brawl at Target over Barbie's princess castle. Like, calm down, man.
Stampede at Walmart.
Is it worth catching a body for your kid to have a $50 Barbie? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Not at all.
But, I mean, honestly, when you said it, it's crazy enough. Like being a parent now, especially being a parent of two, it's kind of like there's no toy I can think of off the top of my head that is worth me having to fight over for my child. It's kind of like, so I'm gonna fight you over this to get my the toy for my child, but I'm going to jail over a toy.
If someone offers an LG, like one of their C6 OLED televisions, like a 65-inch for $500, I'd be willing to do some unsavory stuff in a store for that.
Yeah.
OMG.
Look, you do unsavory stuff every day, so that really wouldn't shock me. But I just imagine.
Where's your morals at there?
I just imagine Antonio. I just imagined Antonio right here, like he squares up with some lady over like, my son really wants this, and then like the Super Street Fighter music starts playing. It's literally him in the bathhouse, getting ready to fight E Honda, but it's just the Street Fighter music and then him and this lady, but they're both in 8-bit and they're squared up, just getting ready to duke it out. But surprising twist, Antonio loses at the end. You lose.
That's how the holiday season kicks off.
Oh God!
What Antonio didn't know is that she was an MMA fighter.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
And it was at that moment that Antonio knew that he fucked up.
You're probably wondering how I got here. What you said. Well, alrighty, boys. I think it's time we wrap this up. Really appreciate everybody listening to the podcast this week. Check us out on the web, edge-tech.net. Again, as usual, I'm Howard.
I'm Devin.
I'm Antonio.
And we really appreciate it. Have a great one.
Take care, guys.